Men, again, I'm talking from the heart here, okay? So hopefully you've seen some of these other videos. This is the third installment. And what I'm talking about here is, and this is something that I'm actually excited about, okay? Because it's such an important topic. It's that no soldier, and you'll find this in the Bible, it's in 2 Timothy chapter 2, verse 4, and it speaks that no soldier who enlists in the army, he doesn't entangle himself with the things of this world anymore because he wants to please the one who enlisted him. So he no longer wants to entangle himself with the things of his life. And the important thing is that we have to understand and identify what are the things of this life that entangle us. And the thing, I'm just going to go right at it, video games, and I'm calling this out because I see within a generation, and it's so important that we understand that it's not just about we as men, that we just need time away from ourselves. It's about these are things that, honestly, these are things that we find ourselves still in a place of childhood. The Bible talks about when I was a child, I thought like a child, I acted like a child, I reasoned like a child. But when I became a man, I put what? I put away childish things. Now I say this because the war is raging. There are men, there are young boys who are in need of men. There are men who have gone astray. There are men who are dying. They're being picked off by society. They're being picked off by ideologies. They're being picked off in so many different ways. And you know what's happening? We're over here. Now that's just one example. There's many things that we as men can be distracted by. I'll say for myself, YouTube is a big distraction for me. Obviously, I'm doing this on YouTube. But I know that if I put my earphones in while I'm with my family, I'm no longer intently focused in on my family. So it becomes, if my wife would ask me to do something, it becomes an irritation because I'm so focused in on that thing. So what I had to do, I had to be intentional and put the guardrails in place and say, when I'm with my family, I'm not focused on some educational video or some documentary. The number one thing is my family, and I've had to do that. I had to say, because there is something more important, because the generation is at stake. There's ideologies that are going after my children right now. I tried to have my daughter watch just a cartoon that seemed harmless, and after so many episodes, I saw that there were things that were seeping in. Now, had I not been intently looking at that, it would have easily begun to seep into the mind and heart of my child. I'm telling you, this is how intent these things are. They're going after children. I spoke in another video. They're sowing tares. The enemy is sowing tares into the minds and the hearts of our children. So I ask you, men, is it about our conveniences or is it about the mission? Because if it's about the mission, then I have to bring everything into alignment with that mission. And where we're at within the mission is that there's a lot of work to do. There's a lot of young men that are in need of men who have gone through life that can show them the way. There's young men who are in desperate need because they have no father. They have no one else to show them or instruct them or give them guidance or show them the way. But what are we doing? Well, I'm tired, so 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s. I've seen it. Men in their 50s still playing video games. Now, again, I don't care. I'm going right at it, okay? 30s, 40s, 50s, still playing video games. I'm not saying you can't have recreation. What I'm saying is that are we as men recognizing the mission? Point blank, period. It's not about your side hobby. It's about the mission. Is the mission being accomplished? And if the mission is not being accomplished, we have to take assessment of where we are as men. I challenge you, take assessment of where you are. I could care less if you have something to say about me at this point, because you know what? Because the mission is at stake. We are at such a point where men are being lost, children are being lost, young boys. Society's being destroyed because men weren't standing up. So you disagree? hey, no problem. Go back to the video games. But if you recognize that, hey, there's a call, and I'm just pointing out that there's a myriad of things. So please hear me right. I'm just identifying that one thing. I share what my issues are, and I'm not saying that I haven't been in that spot, because I have. But I had to make the decision and say, what's the bigger thing? What's the mission? And if my mind and my eyes are set on the mission, then I'm willing to say, you know what? I can no longer entangle myself in civilian life. I can't entangle myself. When I'm on the mission, my heart is intent on the mission. When I hear of men who have families, but they've been called in a mission within the military, and they're called to go overseas, and they have to be intently focused on their mission, to where they can no longer entangle themselves in the barbecues and all the things that they were so used to over a certain period of time. They had to switch their mindset that I'm now on the mission, and the mission needs to be accomplished. What is the mission that is before you? Do you have your wife? Do you have your children? What's going on in your society? What does your state look like? What does your nation look like? What does your neighborhood look like? And if you look at those things and you say, there's a lot of issues going on, then that is a point of consideration to say, how am I going to live my life? Am I going to live it according to the mission, or am I going to live it according to my conveniences? This is a choice that every man has to make. And I'm challenging you, because we are in the midst of the battle. It doesn't matter what you say. I'm telling you, you are in the midst of the battle. The battle is raging now. The battle has been raging. The battle has been. We are in the midst of it. And it is time. It is high time for us as men to stand up, to truly stand up and say, we're going to be counted. I'm not living by my conveniences. I'm living by the mission. And when we do that, men, we can see success. We can see success in our marriage. We can see success in our children. We can see success in our society. We can begin to turn things because men decided to say, hey, pump the brakes. No more. No longer. No longer. We're no longer going to allow these things to occur. We're no longer going to allow these things to happen. We're no longer going to allow our families to be destroyed. We're no longer going to allow our children to be snatched out of our hands while we it's high time, man. It is high time. It is high time for us to stand up, be counted, and go for the mission.